Hello, this is Neil from iPaintGirls.com. You can visit the website for more free tutorials. Alright, so let's get started with this tutorial. In this tutorial I'm going to show how you can master drawing poses from your mind. The first thing I want to do is start with simple poses. Poses that are kind of front-on views of the character. And try not to do poses that have really any foreshortening. So we'll start with a very simple pose here. And what you want to master first is the stick figure. And I know it sounds, boring, like I don't want to do stick figures, that's dumb. I just want to move right into the cool stuff, but that's just not how you learn how to draw. I wanted to do that same thing, and that's why I'm just kind of assuming that other people have, the similar kind of thoughts as I did, and that was, I don't want to do stick figures, I don't want to do basic shapes, what's the point of all that? I saw those drawing books, and it's like, when you're trying to draw a cat, draw this circle here, and the circle here, and blah, blah. And it just seemed really retarded, and it's not something I wanted to do, but I wish I would have, because that's really how you learn how to draw. Right, so I'm going to just kind of imagine the length of the neck here, just put like a dot there. You can put like a little circle there too if you want. Then imagine the width of the shoulders, which is going to be a little bit wider than the head, like maybe a extra head, so like a half a head or so, something about like that, maybe a little bit more. I just kind of estimate it. You get used to about how long it is. If you want, you can draw a line for your stick figure, just kind of connecting the two shoulder points. Next thing I want to do is the spine, and I know that it's going to be about you'll have about a head length from here down, and then make a dot, and then about another head length. So something like that, and that should be the length of your torso. And then you can draw a straight line. And since this is a female, I'm going to draw it kind of extra wide and draw the little points here for the bones. And then you can draw the leg, how you want the legs to go. I'm going to have them crossing like this. And that will be going behind. Keep in mind that the length of the legs is about the same in the top and the bottom as well. So this line is about the same as that line. And this goes also for, and I'm just trying to see if that it's long enough, I think so. This also goes for the arms, and I'm going to have her arms just kind of come into the side here. They're about a head length each, and the same length. And keep in mind that the shoulder and bicep fit on the top length, and then the bottom is the forearm. I'm just trying to think if that's... I'm going to make this line a little bit longer, like this, and then come down to about here, like so. That will be the actual, this will be the widest part of the hips here and the legs, but that's actually where the joints are. So, and then the elbows should come down to right about that point here, and about the same length. So about like that. And then you can just add little triangles for the, and zoom out if you're zoomed in like me to make sure that you get all the lengths proper, and then also keep in mind that it's the same length from the head to here to about here to here. Usually it's about the same length. You can even make this a little bit longer if you wanted to. You can make the legs a little bit longer than the top part, and that adds a slightly different kind of look to the character. Once you master drawing this stick figure like this from pretty much all the front angles, and you feel very confident that your stick figures are correct, they have the proper proportions, everything, that means you've mastered the stick figure. You really need to do that. Even if it takes you a month of drawing every day, master the stick figure in basic poses. Once you've mastered the stick figure in basic poses, then move on to the next stage, which is really easy. You should be able to add it fairly easy. It's just adding these two shapes to your stick figures. So keep doing all your stick figures from the basic poses, but add some primitive type of representation of a rib cage, and you can do like something for the back, and then some primitive representation for hip, which is something like Superman underwear, like that. Add that into all your stick figures, and don't just go back to your stick figures and add it. Draw whole other pages of stick figures, but with this primitive skeleton structure, kind of put in there. You're kind of beginning to get the basis for a mannequin type structure. Once you're at this stage here and you can draw the figures from your mind with these two elements to it, head, rib cage, and basic pelvis. Oh, you can also add should have added the feet on there as well, just little shapes. Doesn't really matter right now. Once you get to this stage here, before you begin to the next stage, well, actually no. When you get to that stage, then well, there's two things. Either you can go right to the mannequin stage at here, or you can develop your stick figures even more complex, where you can do like side views and stuff like that. But it's up to you if you want to do that. The next stage then is to add in the basic mannequin shapes. And what I like to do then is, if it's a female, is add this kind of triangle shape here, and that kind of gives me a place where I know the breast should be. At this stage, you're not doing any anatomy. It's just basic circles or ovals, because you're just doing a mannequin. You're not trying to do anything complex. You want to connect this to this down here. What I like to do is this kind of primitive shape here is come down like this, let's say, something like that. Put a little line there if you want, and then come down here like that. So I like to add that to my mannequins, and then you can add a little bit of flesh in here if you wanted to for your mannequin. That comes out to where you know the hips are going to be, and the widest part. Okay, the next stage then, since you already have this in here, is add the legs. And the legs, again, this is primitive shapes, so don't even worry about at this stage. And I probably made her legs a little bit too long, so I'm going to have to add the knee area here, and then calf area. Keep in mind you're doing primitive shapes here, so you're not doing anything fancy. You could even do them as like kind of triangles if you want. And then it's adding the shoulders, so you can just do ovals for the shoulders. Add on you can do a circle here if you want. This is the basic mannequin. So notice once you master the stick figure, it's really easy to add on these basic shapes and flesh out your stick figure. And that's all you do. So once you can do that, once you can flesh out all your stick figures, then you're ready to move on to the next stage, which is doing the side views and stuff like that, if you weren't already doing that with stick figures. Now go do a bunch of side views and slightly more complex poses. Maybe even some diagonal views. And when you do diagonal views, I recommend, when you do the pelvis, is maybe even do it as more of a block. Let's say this is below the horizon line. Do it more as a block like this, and then that would be the hip joint, and then over there, imagine see-through would be the hip joint, and then these where your legs would come out. That way when you flesh out the leg, oops, I should just do it as this basic shape. When you flesh out the legs, you know that one comes behind, that one comes in front, like that. These are the hardest views, with the 3/4 view, turn like that, especially when you turn the hips like that. So you really want to save those for last, because they're going to be kind of frustrating. Okay, then the next thing you want to do, when you feel really confident that you can draw your stick figures in all the basic poses, even side, basic side poses and stuff, and maybe basic kind of top-down views, then move on, and also not the stick figure, we can also add on your mannequin shapes. Once you do the stick figure, like I said, it's really easy to get to this stage here. It's just adding these, either cylinders, or you can also do more of a kind of rectangle type boxes. Then you want to move on to adding the anatomy onto it. I recommend really downloading sheets from other people too. When you do this, download a bunch of mannequin sheets of different poses, and try adding on the anatomy to theirs. And the reason why I recommend doing that is because subconsciously, when you do your own, you might be cheating yourself, like doing ones that you know you can do the anatomy on, like angles and stuff. And other people will do slightly different angles than you, and you'll have to force your imagination more to flesh out the anatomy. So it's good exercise to do that. So the anatomy is just a matter of learning anatomy. But once you get to this stage here, and you can do this with any pose you can imagine, then start going to complex poses. Don't even worry about if you can't do anatomy yet. That's fine. As long as you get to this stage here, the anatomy will come. It just comes with practice and time and study. Draw, very complex poses, and get to the mannequin stage where you can draw pretty much any pose in your mind in mannequin form. And then worry about adding the anatomy onto them. Because once you get to this stage, the anatomy will come easy once you learn it. So then it's just a matter of, I'll go ahead and use black. It's just a matter of adding in, the basic anatomy here. I'll just start adding. I don't know how much time I'm going to have, so I'm going to try to maybe add a little bit of that back muscle there. I'm not really going to get any detail in the face, just going to leave it like that. I'm going to kind of draw that out here. I don't want to get too far out with the shoulder because I don't want her. She's going to probably have pretty wide shoulders as it is already, so I'm actually going to try to bring this in even more. If I can try to taper that some more. And I really need to make sure that kind of goes behind because her biceps are going to be coming out here. And I might be able to see a little bit of skin on the under part, like that. And I might see a little bit of that skin right there. And then this is the part where, like that. And then this part's shorter as it comes in. I can tell that I indeed did some parts a little maybe too long, and just making sure this is all looking right. I probably could even extend the length of that part just a little bit, and just kind of pull that length just a tiny bit like that. Alright, anyway, so then I don't really feel like doing too much detail for the hands, so I'm just going to kind of do some basic. Let's say she's going to be holding guns or something, so something like that. Keep in mind that when you do the breast, that they lie on top of the rib cage, and so you want to kind of imagine you have like the rib cage is like this kind of slightly curved shape like that when you look at it from, if I looked at it up this way, and then you'd kind of have this kind of curved shape here, so something like that. And then the breast would, like, or like kind of like balloons that kind of sag and fit right onto that. Anyway, that's a sloppy idea, but you get the point. And then depending on how much youthfulness they have in their breast, it'll be more perky or not. Come out with the rib cage a little bit. You can even maybe define the rib cage just a tiny bit there. You can kind of see it. Maybe draw that line right there. Put in the belly button. I'm going to draw it big so it's easy to see. These little muscles here. And then that little bit of skin that comes out. Keep in mind the widest part of the hips are right about here, or a little bit above that rather. And let's see if I can do that again. Oh man, sometimes what the I'm getting tired. Sometimes it's a pain to draw on the tablet. Let's see, I'm going to kind of just pull that little line right there, and then that little line right there, and then start pulling the anatomy for the legs. Just going to keep it basic. Try not to get too detailed because I don't want to run out of time here without having finished kind of what I wanted to. Keep in mind you always have that skin on both sides of the knee, and then come in with these shapes here, and that the bottom part of the knee too. You don't want to forget. I usually just do like a little shadow like that, and that the shin bone or the muscle runs onto the inside of the leg. Remember that. So even though her leg is crossed, so you don't want to actually pull on that side because that's not the side. It's the inside ankle, which is over here. So her inside ankle, you want to make sure you shape the leg correctly. And then you'd have anyway, I kind of messed all that up over here. I was, for some reason, see, I was already getting backwards. I was thinking that was the inside calf. This is the inside calf, which would go lower, and all that line work sloppy, but I don't even care. I don't feel like fixing it. I'm just trying to see if I made her way too tall before. and the skeleton structure, so I just kind of, I don't know why it does that sometimes. Fix that. Kind of put the leg like that. Need to come more. Adding the anatomy is the most time-consuming part, because you just have to keep working it and stuff, and there's little things like, you might make little mistakes and stuff, and kind of draw the arch of the foot there. That line right there, I don't know, really just helps me when I draw my feet to really put the shape of the foot out there. Even when I'm working on the anatomy, I do everything else first, and since the feet and hands are almost like their own separate entities, I save them for last, and then I'll do the anatomy of the feet and hands. Thank you for